a WikiVidi Documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. FA Cup. The FA Cup, known officially as the Football Association Challenge Cup, is an annual knockout football competition in men's domestic English football. First played during the 1871-72 season. It is one of the oldest association football competitions in the world. It is organized by and named after the Football Association. For sponsorship reasons, from 2015 through to 2018 it is also known as the Emirates FA Cup. A concurrent women's tournament is also held, the FA Women's Cup. The competition is open to any eligible club down to level 10 of the English Football League system, all 92 professional clubs in the Premier League and the English Football League, and several hundred non-league teams in steps 1 to 6 of the National League system. A record 763 clubs competed in 2011-12. The tournament consists of 12 randomly drawn rounds followed by the semi-finals and the final. Entrants are not seeded, although a system of buys based on league level ensures higher-ranked teams enter in later rounds. The minimum number of games needed to win the competition ranges from 6 to 14. The first 6 rounds are the qualifying competition, from which 32 teams progress to the first round of the competition proper, meeting the first of the 48 professional teams from Leagues 1 and 2. The last entrants are the Premier League and Championship clubs, into the draw for the third round proper. In the modern era, only one non-league team has ever reached the quarter-finals, and teams below level 2 have never reached the final. As a result, as well as who wins, significant focus is given to those minnows who progress furthest, especially if they achieve an unlikely, giant-killing victory. Winners receive the FA Cup trophy, of which there have been 2 designs and 5 actual cups. The latest is a 2014 replica of the second design, introduced in 1911. Winners also qualify for the Europa League and a place in the FA Community Shield match. Arsenal are the current holders, having beaten Chelsea 2-1 in the 2017 final to win the cup for the 13th time in their history and become the tournament's most successful club. Arsenal's Arsene Wenger is the most successful manager in the competition with 7 finals won. History. In 1863, the newly founded Football Association published the laws of the game of association football, unifying the various different rules in use before then. On the 20th of July 1871, in the offices of the Sportsman newspaper, the FA Secretary C.W. Alcock proposed to the FA Committee that it is desirable that a Challenge Cup should be established in connection with the association, for which all clubs belonging to the association should be invited to compete. The inaugural FA Cup tournament kicked off in November 1871. After 13 games in all, Wanderers were crowned the winners in the final. On the 16th of March 1872, Wanderers retained the trophy the following year. The modern cup was beginning to be established by the 1888-89 season, when qualifying rounds were introduced. Following the 1914-15 edition, the competition was suspended due to the First World War, and did not resume until 1919-20. The 1922-23 competition saw the first final to be played in the newly opened Wembley Stadium. Due to the outbreak of World War II, the competition was not played between the 1938-39 and 1945-46 editions. Due to the wartime breaks, the competition did not celebrate its centenary year until 1980-81. Fittingly, the final featured a goal by Ricky Villa, which was later voted the greatest goal ever scored at Wembley Stadium, but has since been replaced by Steven Gerrard. Having previously featured replays, the modern-day practice of ensuring the semi-final and final matches finish on the day was introduced from 2000 onwards. Redevelopment of Wembley saw the final played outside of England for the first time, the 2001-2006 finals being played at the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff. The final returned to Wembley in 2007, followed by the semi-finals from 2008. Eligibility. The competition is open to any club down to level 10 of the English Football League system which meets the eligibility criteria. All clubs in the top 4 levels are automatically eligible. Clubs in the next 6 levels are also eligible provided they have played in either the FA Cup, FA Trophy, or FA Vase competitions in the previous season. Newly formed clubs, such as FC United of Manchester in 2005-06 and also 2006-07, may not therefore play in the FA Cup in their first season. All clubs entering the competition must also have a suitable stadium. It is very rare for top clubs to miss the competition, although it can happen in exceptional circumstances. Manchester United did not defend their title in 1999-2000, as they were already in the inaugural Club World Championship. The club stated that entering both tournaments would overload their fixture schedule and make it more difficult to defend their Champions League and Premier League titles. The club claimed that they did not want to devalue the FA Cup by fielding a weaker side. The move benefited United as they received a 2-week break and won the 1999-2000 league title by an 18-point margin, although they did not progress past the group stage of the Club World Championship. The withdrawal from the FA Cup, however, drew considerable criticism as this weakened the tournament's prestige, and Sir Alex Ferguson later admitted his regret regarding their handling of the situation. Welsh sides that play in English leagues are eligible, although since the creation of the League of Wales there are only 6 clubs remaining: Cardiff City, Swansea City, Newport County, Wrexham, Merth Town and Colwyn Bay. In the early years, other teams from Wales, Ireland and Scotland also took part in the competition, with Glasgow side Queen's Park losing the final to Blackburn Rovers in 1884 and 1885 before being barred from entering by the Scottish Football Association. In the 2013-14 season, the first Channel Island club entered the competition when Guernsey FC competed for the first time. The number of entrants has increased greatly in recent years. In the 2004-05 season, 660 clubs entered the competition, beating a long-standing record of 656 from the 1921-22 season. In 2005-06 this increased to 674 entrants, in 2006-07 to 687, in 2007-08 to 731 clubs, and for the 2008-09 and 2009-10 competitions it reached 762. The number has varied slightly, but remained roughly stable since then, with 759 clubs participating in 2010-11, a record 763 in 2011-12, 758 for 2012-13, 737 for 2013-14 and 736 for 2014-15. By comparison, the other major English domestic cup, the League Cup, involves only the 92 members of the Premier League and Football League. Overview. Beginning in August, the competition proceeds as a knockout tournament throughout, consisting of 12 rounds, a semi-final and then a final. In May, a system of byes ensures clubs above level 9 and 10 enter the competition at later stages. There is no seeding, the fixtures in each round being determined by a random draw. Prior to the quarter-finals, fixtures ending in a tie are replayed once only. The first 6 rounds are qualifiers, with the draws organized on a regional basis. The next 6 rounds are the proper rounds, where all clubs are in one draw. Schedule. Entrants from the bottom 2 levels begin the competition in the extra preliminary round. Clubs from higher levels are then added in later rounds, as per the table below. The months in which rounds are played are traditional, with exact dates subject to each year's calendar. The qualifying rounds are regionalized to reduce the travel costs for smaller non-league sides. The first and second proper rounds were also previously split into northern and southern sections, but this practice was ended after the 1997-98 competition. The final is normally held the Saturday after the Premier League season finishes in May. The only seasons in recent times when this pattern was not followed were 1999-2000, when most rounds were played a few weeks earlier than normal as an experiment, and 2010-11 and 2012-13 when the FA Cup final was played before the Premier League season had finished, to allow Wembley Stadium to be ready for the UEFA Champions League final, as well as in 2011-12 to allow England time to prepare for that summer's European Championships. The draw. The draws for the extra preliminary, and first qualifying rounds used to all occur at the same time. Thereafter, the draw for each subsequent round is not made until after the scheduled dates for the previous round, meaning that in the case of replays, clubs will often know their future opponents in advance. This season 2016-17 the draw for the first qualifying round was drawn at a later date as per previous season's later rounds. The draw for each of the proper rounds is broadcast live on television, usually taking place at the conclusion of live coverage of one of the games of the previous round. Public interest is particularly high during the draw for the third round, which is where the top-ranked teams are added to the draw. Tiebreaking. In rounds up to and including the fifth round proper, fixtures resulting in a draw go to a replay, played at the venue of the away team, at a later date. If that replay is still tied, the winner is settled by a period of extra time, and if still necessary, a penalty shootout. Since 2016-17, ties are settled on the day from the quarter-finals onwards, using extra time and penalties. Until 1990-91. Further replays would be played until one team was victorious. Some ties took as many as 6 matches to settle. In their 1975 campaign, Fulham played a total of 12 games over 6 rounds, which remains the most games played by a team to reach a final. Replays were traditionally played 3 or 4 days after the original game, but from 1991-92 they were staged at least 10 days later on police advice for the rounds proper. This led to penalty shootouts being introduced, the first of which came on the 26th of November 1991 when Rotherham United eliminated Scunthorpe United. From 1980-81 to 1998-99, the semi-finals went to extra time on the day if the score after 90 minutes was a draw. If the score was still level after extra time, the match would go to a replay. Replays for the semi-finals were scrapped for 1999, 2000. The last semi-final to go into the replay was in 1998-99, when Manchester United beat Arsenal 2-1 after extra time. The first game had ended in a 0-0 draw. The first FA Cup final to go to extra time, and a replay was the 1875 final, between the Royal Engineers and the Old Etonians. The initial tie finished 1-1, but the Royal Engineers won the replay 2-0 in normal time. The last replayed final was the 1993 FA Cup final, when Arsenal and Sheffield Wednesday fought a 1-1 draw. The replay saw Arsenal win the FA Cup 2-1 after extra time. The last quarter-final to go to a replay was Manchester United vs West Ham United in the 2015-16 FA Cup. The original game at Old Trafford ended in a 1-1 draw, while Manchester United won the replay at the Boleyn Ground 2-1. It was also the last FA Cup game ever played at the Boleyn Ground. European football. The FA Cup winners qualify for the following season's UEFA Europa League. This European place applies even if the team is relegated or is not in the English top flight. In the past, if the FA Cup winning team also qualified for the following season's Champions League or Europa League through their league position, then the losing FA Cup finalist were given this European berth instead. FA Cup winners enter the Europa League at the group stage. Losing finalists, if they haven't qualified for Europe via the league, began earlier, at the play-off or third qualifying round stage. From the 2015-16 UEFA Europa League season, however, UEFA does not allow the runners-up to qualify for the Europa League through the competition. If the winner and until 2015, the runner-up has already qualified for Europe through their league position, the FA Cup berth is then given to the highest placed team in the league who has not yet qualified. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know more?